Tornado warning, including the city of Butler, Lissman, and Pennington. This is until 2 o'clock. Again, radar indicated tornado. And as we take a look at velocity mode here, not seeing much for clear signs of rotation right now across the area, but definitely kind of on the edge of the radar there. And that's the spot that we're looking at, most likely where we're seeing the rotation just to the west of Butler. So there are actually two storms, and there may be very likely rotation down in this area too that's going to be headed your way once again. So storms are starting to repeat themselves, and you may get warning after warning in some of these spots today. So don't let your guard down just because you had one storm roll through, because it's very likely that more are going to be coming. And we're talking about a window of opportunity. You know, this is not going to be just a quick snapshot of storms for maybe an hour or two. This is going to be ongoing with the threat even into the overnight across parts of Alabama. So timing that one out for you: Pennington 144, Myrtlewood at 158, Demopolis again at 224 this afternoon, Case Moore at 241, and then heading towards Greenboro at 257 as that continues to track up towards the north and to the east. This storm, as we head outside of the Montgomery area, right? Yeah, just I want to put that in perspective. Here we go. Thank you, Sarah. There's Montgomery, Alabama. All right, so this is to your north and west. Montgomery, you're not in the warning, but this storm has been dangerous, and it has a history of producing a tornado. Confirmation of a tornado earlier when this was back in Billingsley. So we're still seeing some signs of rotation as this crosses Interstate 65 very shortly. Autauga, Chilton, and Elmore counties. Marbury and Verbena are in this. So an observed tornado has been spotted with this when this was in Billingsley. So that cell is holding together, and there actually may be more than one area in there where we're seeing some of that rotation to the west of Interstate 65. Timing that one out for you as the storm heads towards Cooper at 145, Dollar at 202, Mariah at 213, and then Weogufka. I'm not sure if I'm saying that one right. My apologies for you on that one, but that would be arriving at 221 if that holds together and continues to move on through here. So Alabama and Mississippi, the two areas that we're watching very closely for multiple storms, supercells that are all rotating and may be producing tornadoes now. This is what we consider a high-risk day or an extreme tornado day. They're very rare. They only happen a couple of times a year. In fact, the last time we had watches on this scale was back in May of 2019. It's more common to have outbreaks like this in the month of May than in March. So this is a little bit early to be seeing such a significant severe weather event. So here's a look at the PDS watch for you, including Birmingham stretching back towards Jackson, Mississippi. That's until 7 o'clock Central Time tonight. And we may see more watches likely issued as we head through the rest of the afternoon. All right, I'm getting word that we have some new video just into the Weather Channel showing you a likely tornado. Okay, this is the one I was just telling you about outside of Montgomery, Alabama. This is in Billingsley, where we have that confirmation of that tornado. Clearly seeing some of that rotation moving through. Remember, your safe place today.
Welcome back into our continuing live coverage, by the way, of a severe weather outbreak that's unfolding before our eyes. Very high risk, one that hasn't happened in quite some time, many years, really. And so This is a live look, guys, of what's happening in Bowlagee, Alabama. That's not far from I-20. Look at downtown, essentially a ghost town. You can see the rainfall coming down pretty heavy, and I did definitely see some lightning. Winds don't look to be all that strong, at least in this view, but we're near tornado warnings that have popped up, and we are under that rare PDS tornado watch that's been issued for much of the state of Alabama, as well as much of the state of Mississippi. So we're continuing to follow what's going on. There's so much happening, it can get a little overwhelming. But that's what we're here to do, kind of break it down piece by piece and show you everything kind of going on. There's more than just tornado warnings. So we're going to get to the tornado warnings here. I want to show you really quickly a broad look at what's happening with our whole system as a whole. We're not forgetting about what's happening here in Tennessee. Most of this is just heavy rain and then some damaging winds approaching Jackson, Tennessee, east of Memphis. And guys, look at Memphis. I mean, we have just been into that plume of moisture now for a couple of hours. We're really concerned about some flash flooding. A quick look at this severe thunderstorm warning. This is a damaging wind producer, and that is literally has a beeline towards Jackson, Tennessee, there along Interstate 40. Could have gusts here in excess of 65 miles per hour. Jackson likely to exceed this by about 2 o'clock local time. That's in about 10 minutes. All right, so get inside. Treat this as you would any kind of warning. Get inside. A lot of lightning and damaging winds. All right, let's go to the tornado warnings, because that is a more life or death situation, and that is what we are seeing here for parts of Mississippi and also into Alabama. We'll start here with the newest tornado warning that has popped up along Interstate 59 there in Mississippi. This now includes Laurel. So Laurel, we're talking about thousands of residents. This is a decent community here, decent sized community north of Hattiesburg. So you really need to get into your shelter now. You don't have a ton of time. There is a developing storm with some rotation right around Ellisville. That's about 10 miles or so between Laurel and Hattiesburg, and kind of along Interstate 59, all right? So it's not super evident, but there is some broader rotation, certainly some tighter rotation, and perhaps maybe a little bit of debris. Nothing super clear, but when you look at the debris signature there, it looks like we just did the most latest scan, but there was some differences there than just the uniformity of all red. So tracking this is going to essentially move up Interstate 59 towards the city of Laurel. So please take shelter. This is a dangerous storm. We know this part of Mississippi is under the highest threat for tornadoes. Any of these storms could become long-tracked and very dangerous, even wedge-like tornadoes, and we've already seen a couple of those already. Laurel expecting this within the next 10 minutes. So please take shelter, get into the lowest level of your home if you live in Laurel, Mississippi, and point south. All right, just next door here along Highway 84, we've already been hit with the tornado, and some of the damage reports are staggering. Quite major, in fact, is some serious destruction here just west of Waynesboro. That was last hour, and this same area now under another tornado warning. Some of these people have already been hit once, and you are now under a second tornado warning, all within an hour's time. This one doesn't look as evident, but there could be a little bit of a debris signature about to cross Highway 84. This was the video we were showing you earlier of that confirmed tornado that crossed the Highway 84 corridor right about there, moving just to the west of Waynesboro and back up towards Shibuya. And again, timing this out, this is in Mississippi, not far from the Alabama state line. Whistler, a little after 2 o'clock, and Hiwanee by about 2:20. Now let's jump into Alabama, because we've got numerous tornado warnings, many of which have been confirmed. And let's start with this one, because this is the one that's been confirmed. That was the one we were showing you some video out of Billingsley. All right, now it's moving right over Interstate 65. This is near the town of Cooper for Chilton County. So Clanton, that's the most municipality that's closest by. This storm just to your south. But heads up here, please, get off the exit before coming to this area. This is seriously smack dab in the middle between Birmingham and Montgomery, near mile marker 200, near that 200 exit. And you can see it's now having crossed or in the process of crossing over a very busy thoroughfare, Interstate 65, also Highway 31. This is the same storm that pushed through Selma, where we have video of a wedge tornado, a terrifying tornado. And this is continuing to push off towards the northeast, towards Dollar, Alabama, by about 15-20 minutes from now, and then getting in towards Moriah from there. That's just one of several tornado warnings in the state. Take a look just off to your west. We've got a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. This includes Pickens and Tuscaloosa County, just north of Tuscaloosa. And there is the tornado warning here for Greene, Hale, and Sumter counties. This is a dangerous storm. Please take shelter immediately there in Demopolis. This is in western Alabama, south of Interstate 20. And this is a clearly identifiable tornado, at least by radar indications, and is moving towards the town of Demopolis along Highway 80. Please take shelter immediately. Tornado moving overhead in the next 10 minutes.
New DQ rotisserie-style chicken bites.
We are tracking tornadoes across the deep south with multiple warnings in effect, and that includes you in the town of Laurel, Mississippi. This is a live traffic cam where you can see the raindrops on the lens here, but can't see much of a sky view. There is a report of a funnel cloud just to your south and west in Ellisville. The fire department is watching this storm as we speak in Ellisville, and it is headed your way. So Laurel, Mississippi, you need to take your tornado precautions immediately. That's getting to the lowest level of your home, away from doors and windows, and seek shelter. You want as many walls between you and the outside of your home as you possibly can, and stay there until this warning has expired. So this is just one of many warnings that are in effect across Mississippi and Alabama right now. It's been an active afternoon, and some spotty damage has already occurred in the state of Mississippi, with homes taking on some damage in Wayne County, Mississippi, earlier this afternoon. So here's a look at the radar. There you can see Hattiesburg, which is to the south and west of here, just to give you perspective if you're not familiar with this area. Here's Ellisville that I was talking about, where they're seeing that funnel cloud right now. So this storm is moving to the north and to the east around 35 miles per hour. So it is on the way, Laurel, and you need to be seeking shelter right now. So that's that area. This is really right over the north side of town in Ellisville, where we're seeing some of that rotation. And with the funnel cloud, that just has to lower a little bit and touch the ground, and suddenly that's a tornado, and it's causing damage right over a populated area. In addition to all this, right, this is Interstate 59 that rolls right on through this region. So that's also a very highly traveled area, and that storm is going to be crossing through there. So we want to time it out for you. Laurel, how quick is this going to get to you? 2:05. So that's almost now. You need to be getting to your safe place immediately here, Laurel. Eastview looks like it should be arriving at 2:08. After that, we've got Sandersville at 2:20. Heidelberg is coming in at 2:32. And then after that, Stafford Springs at 2:37 this afternoon. Let's take you farther to the north of there into Choctaw County. Choctaw, this is your second warning here of the day. We can see a little bit of a signature and a dropout right within that area between Needham and Butler. So this is Choctaw County, Alabama. You need to be taking your safety precautions right now across this region as well. Rotation spotted near Needham. And this is also moving up towards the north and towards the east. So a tornado could be developing, is likely to be developing here right now. So Red Springs, you're first in line. That arrives at 2:03, Butler at 2:10, Choctaw City at 2:27, and then heading towards Edna at 2:33. So this could be one of those storms that continues to stay tight and rotates, and there are more storms lined up back behind that. So look at this. As we broaden out to the greater view, you can see this whole clustering, that whole area along and just to the south and east of Interstate 20 is where we have some really active conditions. Demopolis, we've been watching you for quite a while with your tornado warning. We've definitely been seeing some very strong rotation within that storm and within that area. There it is, just to your south and west right now, Demopolis. So you need to be getting to your safe place and to your shelter right now. That would be crossing Highway 43 here in Alabama and heading up towards the Greensboro area, likely just to the west of you. So we put on as narrow as we can the track so you have a better idea of where the storm is rotating and is most likely to cause the tornado damage part of that storm. Demopolis, that's moving through here extremely shortly, heading towards Greenville and then heading towards Sawyerville as well. So this is a Doppler radar indicating that rotation. We don't have ground truth on that right now, but we've got many spotters that are scattered all over the place, and we will bring that to you if we get the ground truth associated with this as well. So let's take you here into Alabama. There you can see up Tuscaloosa. Thanks, Sarah, for just kind of pointing that out so people have a better geographical perspective. But this is that farther north storm that's right along Interstate 20 near Utah. And that's a pretty good signature right there. Yeah, that is some tighter rotation to the east of Highway 11, to the north of County Road 14 within that area. We put the correlation coefficient on there right now. When you see all that red, that means everything's pretty uniform. If you see some dropouts or different colors beginning to pop up, that could be a sign that debris is developing. So Utah, this is just to your north and east. If you live in Akron, you need to be taking your tornado precautions right now, and this is going to be tracking most likely through or just to the west of you right now. Keep in mind, just trust the warnings today. It's very active. It's very unsettled. These areas of rotation are kind of popping up on a dime today, and they're holding together. So some of these storms are likely to be long-lived across the region, and some of them are going to be repeating themselves too. So stay alert. Just don't wait for that warning to be over with and then ignore what's going on for the rest of the day, because there are likely to be more coming down the road. So there you can see the storm track and the timing out of that one as well. To the south, we're tracking that Greene and Hale County one, but we want to take you back towards Chilton and into the Coosa area. There's Rockford that you can see. This one has got an observed tornado. Is this the Billingsley one, Sarah, earlier? Yeah, so this is the one that moved through Selma, then moved through Billingsley, and now has crossed Interstate 65 there, right there. So we have ground truth on this one, observed tornado, and we're definitely still seeing that very strong signature on this cell as well. So the warning has been extended, as we expect this is going to continue to hold together. And this thing's been together for well over 30 minutes already. Wow, there you can see the really tight rotation indicated here on radar, with the green moving towards, the red moving away from the radar. And Sarah Dillingham, our weather producer, kind of putting that through a time lapse for you so you can see where all that has been and continuing where it is going. So that's the spot that we're continuing to watch. A little rotation here, a little rotation back here. So there may actually be two different areas of rotation on this one that we're watching. So keep in mind, tornadoes can evolve. Storms evolve. They don't stay the same. They're constantly changing. And so sometimes we can get that rotation to kind of tighten up and develop a tornado. We can see it loosen back up and widen a little bit or lift and then come back down. So it can be changeable from time to time, but just trust that that tornado is there and that it's on the ground, and immediately seek shelter across that region. So that warning remains in effect until 3 o'clock. Yeah, are you talking about over here? Or you're over here? Yeah, right in there. Agreed. Two areas, I think. That's our weather producer agreeing that she thinks she sees two different areas of rotation associated with that as well. Sometimes storms can kind of split themselves, and a new storm can develop and kind of take over and ultimately get a little bit stronger. But this also tells us, everything's rotating today, right? Thunderstorms are developing very, very quickly with strong lift in the atmosphere, and we have changeable winds with height. So whatever goes up eventually is going to start to turn, and that's why our tornado threat is just so high across the region today. It's a rare day. This doesn't happen very often, and so folks really need to take this very seriously. If you don't live there and you're just watching, but you have friends and family maybe that live within this area, don't be afraid to text them, give them a call, and make sure that they are aware and they are alert as these storms continue to fire up for today. So Chris, multiple warnings today. Knock on wood, so far the damage has been fairly light and fairly spotty, but there has been damage, and we expect this to continue through the afternoon, through the overnight, and even severe weather likely ongoing well through the day tomorrow.
Yeah, and you were showing that tornado-warned storm that just crossed Interstate 65. Well, about an hour ago, that same storm was in Selma, Alabama. That's when it really started to get organized and mean. Look at that. That is a wedge tornado. Selma, by the way, is a community of over 18,000 residents. So we haven't got any damage reports, at least not yet. But look at how close that is. Looks like somebody's at some sort of factory high up observing the distant horizon. You can clearly see that. notorious storm. All right, Alabama certainly under the threat, some of the worst conditions today. I want to take you live to Mobile, Alabama. Right now, not bad, all right? Partly cloudy. I want you to note the temperatures, 80 degrees. Guys, that is serious because when you have sunshine on a severe weather day, it just feeds the storms and allows for instability to continue to grow and for these storms to rapidly develop. Let's talk about our torcons here in lower Alabama, areas near the Gulf Coast, including the Mississippi Gulf Coast, even the Florida Panhandle. Mobile, you're at a 5. There's also some 6s here from Biloxi to, say, just north in northern Baldwin County. You go up not very far up towards Greenville, Alabama, Citronelle, areas, near Grove Hill, and we're looking at 7s on the torcons. And then 9s to get into central Alabama. That includes you in Montgomery and Birmingham. Let's time this out. A lot of these supercells have been north of Montgomery. Now, it's not to say in the next couple of hours we could get a few of those isolated thunderstorms that could produce severe limits, including funnel clouds and tornadoes. But I think the main issue here, at least in southern Alabama, southern Mississippi, is going to be with this line. Look at what our high-resolution future radar is showcasing here. Gnarly squalls with damaging winds and embedded tornadoes pushing through later tonight, so before midnight, and then by the time we get to Mobile, we're looking at wee early morning hours and then weakening as it pushes into Florida. All right, that's southern Alabama. Let's talk about Birmingham. Very different situation. Guys, this camera hasn't changed in nearly 2 hours. Temperatures have warmed. That's concerning. And also the rain has continued. Now, we've had a little bit of a lull in the heavy rainfall, but on top of our torcon of a 9 and all of the severe weather threats, hail, damaging winds, and all of that, we've got a serious flash flood concern. And I'm afraid that that could also be a huge factor here, given how the nature of these storms will likely hit at us for hour after hour. Let's show you the current radar here across Alabama, and I want to show you a couple of things. I want us to do a broad look first of all. Look at all of these tornado warnings. Jackie covered each one of those individually, and then that one there south of Birmingham along I-65. They are generally moving towards the vicinity of central Alabama. If these continue, and we have the history, we have the ingredients for long track tornadoes, these warnings could easily get extended into Birmingham within the next couple of hours. So we really have to watch as that whole batch of storms pushes towards central Alabama and into Birmingham, even north of Montgomery, over the next few hours this afternoon. And then again, as we get into the late night hours, that's why our torcons are so high. In fact, Birmingham, this is a more concerning situation, especially looking at the radar trends and where we're going as we go into this afternoon and this evening. So let's show you briefly what our high resolution future radar. Again, this is not perfect, but you saw what's coming. You saw what's happening right now in Demopolis. You saw what's happening in Selma. Those storms are moving our way, and they likely will continue to have rotation and could even hold those tornadoes all the way up through Birmingham. So very dangerous situation with supercells continuing to roll through, maybe a little bit of a break. And then as we get into the nighttime hours, there we go with the main line, damaging wind threat and serious tornado risk as we go into the overnight hours. So even after you go to bed, if you're even able to sleep tonight, please have a way to get those alerts and warnings before finally clearing out by early tomorrow morning. Let's take you to Atlanta. Atlanta, we are going to have our threat more so as we go into tomorrow morning. I think today we're going to have maybe a few thunderstorms. The difference here is our temperatures. Look at this. We were in the 60s and 70s across most of Alabama, even 80s in Mobile. We're in the 50s still in Atlanta. We've got a low cloud deck. There's been a lot of fog, so it shows us we have high humidity, but we've also are kind of stuck in the wedge. So yes, we have a severe weather threat, but it's also a little bit lower given the timing of when the storms come through and that cooler air. So I want to show you where we're at currently with our temperatures. You look at Birmingham, we're in the upper 60s. All right, that shows us, okay, unstable air. Look at Montgomery, near 80 degrees, all right? That warm air is surging northward, and we're going to continue to warm up the atmosphere, even in Atlanta, but I don't think we're going to get to 70 degrees. So that's why our severe threat is going to go down a little bit, and the timing of the storms will be late overnight, really into the wee morning hours, but we are still under that threat. You know, the Atlanta city proper under a 3 or 4 for torcons, but the west side of the metro area towards the Alabama state line, you're looking at a 5 out of 10, and then you cross into Alabama and those torcons go up to 7, 8, and 9. A quick look at the timing. Again, pretty quiet with some light showers, maybe a rumble of thunder or two, but there's the instability approaching. I think we'll have some individual storms by dinner time, but it will be a late overnight threat, really early morning threat as that line comes through. That'll be our best shot for strong storms to the Atlanta metro as we wake up tomorrow morning, and then pushing east from there for another busy day, believe it or not, Jackie, into the Carolinas tomorrow.
Yeah, we've got a ways to go for sure. And of course, the Weather Channel has you covered. We want to update you on the warnings that we have right now and take you back into the state of Alabama, where we've got multiple warnings. We've got some clusters of thunderstorms that are rotating, and then a few that are out ahead of that main area that are rotating as well. We want to start with a tornado warning with a confirmed tornado on it. And this one has been confirmed for quite a while and continues to keep on trucking. Chilton and Coosa counties under the tornado warning until 3 o'clock. Here's Interstate 65. Here's Highway 231 to put it in perspective. Talladega is up towards your north, and we're still definitely seeing some rotation within there between County Highway 186 and County Road 15. So this is the area that we're talking about that is showing some of that rotation and getting some of those bright returns. So get to your safe place if you live in this area right now. That's to the east of Clanton. We want to time it out for you and put a tracker on it. Mariah at 219, Weogufka at 227, and then Holman Crossroads that should be arriving at 241. We're going to continue to keep you up to date on all the tornado warnings. The Weather Channel is going to be live 24/7. You can also find us on Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and your smart TVs. Existing cable and satellite subscribers can download the app now also to get access to the latest alerts, forecasts, and local radar and live coverage.
An eye allergen's attack.
We log at the top of the world, a mile high into the mountains. That's where some of the best logging is.
It's absolutely insane up here.
Careful, careful, careful.
There's lots of things that can go wrong.
The mud just does not stop.
You can't stay on the road.
You just hope you make it.
It's a battle against Mother Nature. It's not for everyone.
Let the fun begin.
All right, thanks for joining us here on the Weather Channel. We're showing you a live look out of Memphis right now, where the rain has been relentless, guys. We are currently under a flash flood warning, and ponding water, or even standing water, being reported on numerous roads. We've got to watch for very slow traffic on some of the interstates. Looks like there's some sort of incident here, which is why we got that emergency vehicle. But heavy rainfall has really been just one of the threats that we have seen. Even Little Rock, and now flash flood warnings into southern Mississippi, and I think flash flood warnings are also going to be expanded into much of Alabama, given the heavy nature and round after round of severe thunderstorms. We'll continue to track what's going on there in Memphis. I want to jump now to Birmingham, Alabama, where the scene isn't much different. Look at this, though. So this camera, I think, is very interesting. This is a weather stem camera. It's not currently pouring down rain, so you can make out the trees to the bottom left of your screen. Notice the ominous clouds. These are low-hanging, kind of draped clouds, and there's some breakups with a little bit of that sunshine. That is why we have warmed up our temperature now near 70 degrees. And Birmingham sits in Jefferson County, and the northern parts of Jefferson County now under a tornado warning. We're going to get to that. We've also got several other tornado warnings I want to talk about. Let's take you to Akron, Alabama. This is one of our storm trackers. This is to the south and west of Birmingham, and you can kind of get a look at what's going on. Heavy rainfall, visibility not too bad. Doesn't look like it's super windy, at least where he is, but he's near a tornado warned storm that we want to get you up to speed on. There are numerous tornado warnings right now in Alabama, okay? And the concern is these are tracking towards Birmingham in the next couple of hours. So please have that plan in place. Hope you've already had that. Make sure you already have this. So let's take a look at our active radar. And I'll show you the state really. Believe it or not, Mississippi, you are tornado warning free at the moment. Don't expect that to stay that way, but let's at least catch our breath right now because Jackson areas in southern Mississippi has been so active. No current tornado warnings. All the activity is really here into Alabama. So there's Birmingham, just to get your bearings, okay? To the northwest of you, that is where we have a brand new tornado warning. Guys, this is serious. This is concerning, and this is a dangerous storm, okay? No confirmation, but this is a radar indicated. It would not be surprising if this is confirmed. Pretty rural area at the moment, but it is moving towards Wegra and areas there along I-22, say about 30 miles northwest of Birmingham. This is a popular thoroughfare, especially if you're traveling between Mississippi and central Alabama, so please take heed, know where the warnings are. Let's time this out towards Maxine and eventually I-22, probably in the next 15 to 20 minutes. A fast-moving storm, too, by the way, so please take shelter. Get into the lowest level of your home, basement preferably, in the most interior room. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. That will bear your best bet. And the fact is, these could be destructive tornadoes, not just EF1 or EF2 category, but we're talking even more devastating, and that's exactly what we're going to continue to watch the trend. All right, let's jump a little off towards the south from there. Tuscaloosa, you're now under a tornado warning or just on the fringe of one. That wasn't surprising given this storm. This is a confirmed tornado, and it's moving toward Tuscaloosa. So everyone remembers what happened back in 2011, back in the, it's going to be about the 10-year outbreak this year. That was the only other time we really issued a torcon of a 10. So think of that devastation, and we're not too far behind that again today. It's unfortunate to see Tuscaloosa in the path of yet a confirmed tornado on a very dangerous day, but that's the reality of the situation. And the correlation coefficient clearly showing that perhaps debris signature with damage moving towards Moundville and up Highway 69. This is getting close to the Interstate 20 corridor. Please take shelter near Moundville, to the west of Duncanville, and unfortunately in Tuscaloosa. Please do that immediately. Get to the lowest level of your home. We've also got a couple of tornado warnings in Oklahoma, and those could move into Arkansas. So for now, we want to go over to meteorologist Tevin Wooten. He's standing by in Little Rock this afternoon. Tevin, you had some heavy rain, torrential downpours. You even were under a flash flood warning at the time. How have things changed so far this afternoon?
Chris, we've dried out considerably considering where we were earlier this morning. Now, we do still have some spotty showers out there. I do want to briefly mention that tornado watch that you just mentioned for northwestern portions of the state. That now goes until 8 p.m., so that includes Benton and Ouachita counties and places near Fayetteville, Bentonville, and Springdale. As for us here in central Arkansas, we are not out of the woods just yet. Let me show you why. If we go up to the sky, you can start to make out some of that sunshine that we are getting here, and that is adding some instability into the mix. And in fact, if we take a look at the downtown Little Rock traffic camera, that will also show you just how some of that sunshine is peeking through the clouds here or there. So what does that mean? That is adding heat, that is adding fuel to the fire when it comes to the available energy in the atmosphere. Now, the showers that we had earlier this morning, those did cause some flash flooding and some ponding off the roadways, but that did also eat away at the instability. So how does the atmosphere recover? We'll continue looking at the forecast in just a few moments. Team coverage of a severe weather outbreak in the making on the way.
Breaking right now, we are continuing to track a tornado-warned storm that's just to the south and west of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This is a live stream from our storm tracker, Charles Peak, who is out there checking on conditions and watching it very closely. This is a tornado-warned storm, confirmation of it near the Moundville area. You can see the dark clouds here, as well as the raindrops on the windshield wipers. One of the things I want you to take away from this live stream, do you think if there was a tornado in that storm that you would see it? I think the answer is unlikely. There's a lot of rain wrapping within these storms today. In addition to that, you can see all the trees around. We've got hilly terrain across the state of Alabama. That's what makes storm chasing so very, very dangerous. Of course, Charles Peak, very well trained and very alert of that danger, and safety always comes first here at the Weather Channel. It should come first for you too. So trust the warnings today. Get to your safe place when you are alerted. And today is not one of those days where it's if you're going to be alerted. It's when you're going to be alerted. So let's take you into Alabama right now, and that is where we've got all of the warnings. We've got multiple warnings in place. A lot of them are along and south of Interstate 20 right now, and then we've got the one to the north and west of Birmingham. So we want to start out in that Tuscaloosa area because this is the one that we do have a confirmation on. We're seeing the strong signature on Doppler radar. Here's Moundville. That's the area that we're talking about, and you can see the big hook within that area. Now, something else that I'm keeping an eye on too, by the way, is you can see the bright reflectivity. There is likely some large hail with this storm. Now, as the storm moves up towards the north and to the west, you're going to get the rain first. Then you're going to get in the hail, and then you would get into the tornado. So the tornado is going to come last. So take this very seriously. Hopefully you've got the car in the garage or in a carport, because there could be some damage with this. We take you into Moundville right now and give you a close-in look. There you can see 69, Road 69, County Road 69 that goes on through there. There's the very clear signature of rotation that's right over Moundville as we speak. Moundville, you need to be in your shelter right now. Do not hesitate. Do not delay. This is kind of on the northern side of town where we're seeing the greatest concern in the area of the tightest rotation right now as well. Let's put a tracker on this and give you an idea of where it's going, how quickly this thing is moving. This is going to be moving towards Maxwell, and that should be arriving at 2:35, and then if it holds together towards Brookwood at 3:06. Now, Tuscaloosa, I just want you to take a good look at this. If this is where you live, it's possible we could see a little bit of fluctuation on this track. So the south and southeast side of town, you need to be in your safe place and you need to be in alert, right? Better safe than sorry on a day like today when we have a confirmed tornado that's going to be heading at least near you, right? At least near you. So if this does make it through there, it would most likely be on the southeast side of town. All right, let's take you farther north and take a look at this tornado warned storm. Here's Birmingham, Alabama. So this is to the north and west of you. Same concerns with this one. This is also an observed tornado. This one is also producing some hail, most likely, and this is just about to cross Interstate 22 right here, right near the Flat Creek area. There's Robbins Crossroads. There's Adamsville. This is the area that we're talking about. It does look like the rotation was a little tighter earlier, and maybe it has broadened out just a little bit right now, but we did have the observed tornado on it. Flat Creek, you need to be in your safe place. No travel on I-22 right now. This is a very dangerous storm that's going to be crossing that area here very shortly. After Flat Creek, this heads towards Chetopa. That's at 2:46. Sayre comes in at 2:47, and then Kimberly, I know you're outside of the warning, but this could be crossing 65 too if that thing holds together. So Kimberly would be at 3:05 this afternoon. So it has been nonstop warning after warning after warning today. And Chris, we don't see any break in the action anytime soon.
No, we don't. And I want to go back to the tornado warned storm. This is the one that's moving towards Tuscaloosa. Guys, please take shelter immediately. You're looking live at this approaching supercell from one of our storm trackers, Drum Humphreys. This is just south of I-59. This is the one that has been confirmed. Now, we don't see the tornado in our visual right here, but it certainly looks ominous. You can tell the storm is rotating, and this is moving towards the south side of the Tuscaloosa metro area. Some of the locations impacted are Tuscaloosa, Moundville, Coaling, the University of Alabama, which, by the way, they have opened up all of their storm shelters, one being Coleman Coliseum. Remember, too, this was one of the communities hard hit back in the outbreak in 2011. Unfortunately, here we go again on one of the more dangerous days we've had since then. Please take shelter immediately here in Moundville and Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We'll be back. Breaking right now, you're looking live at a tornado warned storm. This is the one that just passed through Moundville, Alabama. And unfortunately, Jackie, it looks like there's some damage now, especially on the correlation coefficient. The returns are coming back very strongly. So when we look at this image, what is telling from your perspective?
Boy, I don't see any lowering on that, Chris. I sure don't. I know that we are seeing some debris lofted to the north and east of Moundville, so I'm not exactly sure where he is in relation to that, but we definitely see the ominous skies. We see the low clouds near the ground right now. We know the rain is coming down. Very likely to see some hail in this storm as well. Kind of looks like, you know, if you really look at this and study this, maybe you see a little bit of a kind of broader rotation within the clouds, but there I did not see the lowering with this. Now, you know, as it kind of pans off towards the side, you know, the trees get in the way. So there's a chance that we're not going to be able to see it. That looks a little bit more interesting over there, a little bit lower, but again, still, it just looks like the broader circulation, not an actual tornado on the ground. But that's typical, right, Chris? You know, we'll see broader rotation, and then we'll see things tighten up, and we can get funnels, and then once it hits the ground, we actually call it a tornado, and it can cause damage. So it's not surprising to see changes like that.
All right, we're going to go from this look to a different angle, a different vantage point. And again, the trees kind of get in the way here, but this is still from the same storm, just a different perspective. And again, I think if the trees weren't there, we would have a better indication on saying if there is a funnel or some sort of actual twister on the ground. It's just, you can't confirm that from this shot.
You can't, but you look at that power line, you look just to the left of there.
Yeah, you're like, okay,
that's where
notable.
I'm looking at.
Yeah.
That's the area that I would be watching for that possibility. So we know that the radar is showing strong rotation. We know that there are many spotters trying to get a good look at it so that we can give the best information possible so people can get that warning and take action. So yeah, there you can see some of the telestrating trying to see that lowering, but you know, unless I see that visual confirmation reaching all the way to the ground, which is tough to do, but just trust it today, right, Chris? Just trust the warning, get to your safe place now.
Yeah, and I want to show you where this is on the map, okay? So this is a concerning storm. Tuscaloosa, at least the south side of the metro area, you are included in this tornado warning. This is the one that has been confirmed. Now, we can't see that visually, at least from those two perspectives, but that does not mean there is not one on the ground. So please take this seriously. I want to show you one of the more alarming trends here. Look at that tight rotation. Not only is it green, but it's yellow. I mean, this is as tight as you can get, as clear cut. So to be as specific as we can, here's Highway 69. There's Moundville. This came through. Where we were looking must have been somewhere along this road. Looking out, and there's a lot of trees, so we're trying to see it, but it's just going to be hard given the natural topography. Correlation coefficient, this is what you don't want to see when you have a tornado warning. Clearly, you have red everywhere else except here. So what's happening is the radar is scanning the skies. It's measuring objects that are different than your average raindrop. And when you get something that's certainly a different color, yellow and green, it's like, okay, certainly, yeah, we may have debris now, branches or something much larger, perhaps pieces of building, structural damage. That's certainly something that looks to be more evident as this continues to race off. So let's track this and see if we can pull this up towards the north, because I want to show you some more popular areas that this may go toward. So areas around Old Marion Road, there's where the tornado apparently is. And again, it looks like it's going to go east of Highway 69. And again, we're showing you that live shot there from Moundville. But if we can pull this up a little bit more, Sarah, just to get into, say, the metro area where a lot more people live and maybe more familiar with, here's Interstate 20. And we are just getting reports, I'm being told, of structural damage and reports of injuries with this tornado-warned storm. So please get to your safe place immediately. There's the local Nissan, Townsend Nissan, I want to pull up. Just from my vantage, there's a Sam's Club here on the south side of I-20. So if you live in this vicinity, I would say the southeast side of Tuscaloosa, please get to your safe place immediately. This is a very dangerous storm, and we're already getting now reports of injuries and structural damage, probably from Moundville and areas just to the northeast from there. You can see how it came through Moundville, and then boom, it just kind of all of a sudden became very apparent on the vorticity. So this is a strengthening rotation and is moving now towards the southeast side of Tuscaloosa. It will cross Highway 82. looks like it's going to pass just to the north of Duncanville. And then as we get towards, say, 20 minutes from now, this is a fast-moving storm moving towards the northeast at about 20 to 30 miles per hour. It will cross Highway 20 or Interstate 20 there, just likely east of Tuscaloosa. All storm shelters are open at the University of Alabama. Please take shelter immediately if you live in Tuscaloosa and point south, say north of Duncanville and now north of Moundville. This is an extremely dangerous tornado confirmed with structural damage and reported injuries now being reported because of this storm. That's one of several active tornado warnings in the state of Alabama. We've had at least 6 touch the ground, and these are all on the vicinity moving towards Birmingham this afternoon.
You're right.
Breaking right now, we have a large confirmed and dangerous tornado in Tuscaloosa County in the state of Alabama right now. This is a live stream from our storm tracker, Charles Peak, who is very near this tornado warned storm in Duncanville. The tornado is just to the north and west of where Charles is right now. In fact, as we take a look over there, that lowering on the right-hand side of your screen is certainly one of the dangerous areas of the storm that we need to watch. That may very well potentially be. We can't see with the tree canopy if indeed for sure if that's just lowering clouds or if that's the actual tornado, but that would be my guess as we take a look at this. Emergency management is confirming that there's a large and dangerous tornado on the ground. This just very recently moved through the town of Moundville. There, the volunteer fire department is saying that there are many trees down and that they are getting calls for reports of injuries. So here's a look at the storm as it moved through Moundville. Again, with the trees here, it's very difficult to see much other than the rain and the clouds that are out ahead of you. And that's one of the reasons why the threat of tornadoes is so extremely dangerous across parts of the South, the deep South, states like Mississippi, states like Alabama, states like Georgia. And that's where our threat is greatest here this afternoon as well as into tonight. So we know that this is a very dangerous situation. The threat is considerable, and this is heading towards the southeastern side of Tuscaloosa in Alabama right now as well. So Tuscaloosa, you're kind of on the edge of where we have the warning for this tornado at this time. So let's take you to the radar. Let's analyze the situation and give you a better idea of exactly where this is. So here's Duncanville. This is where Charles is. And you know, the tornado is moving this way right now. And so Charles is in a place that we would consider safe to be able to be out of the threat of that tornado coming towards him. This is moving north and the east. We're seeing very strong rotation right in this area here. There's Tuscaloosa. This is Interstate 20. This will be crossing Interstate 20 at some point. And there, as Sarah Dillingham, our great meteorologist and weather producer who's running the radar for us right now, is showing us that animation to give you an idea of just how tight that rotation was. We're seeing some signs it might be cycling just a little bit, but still a very, very strong signature of a large and dangerous tornado that's been on the ground likely for some time already. So let's time it it out and show you the areas where it's moving towards. And we're just showing you the area of rotation, right? It doesn't mean you're not going to feel the storm at all outside of where we have the track on here. So keep that in mind, is that you may get heavy rains. You could get damaging winds. There's definitely, a hail core in association with that. We're seeing some very bright reflectivity, and that's going to move in likely on the southeastern side of Tuscaloosa as well. If that holds together, then the next big town that would be affected by this would be Brookwood. So eventually heading towards the Brookwood area. So that tornado warning remaining in effect until 3 o'clock. So that's at least until the top of the hour. And signs are showing us that the atmosphere out ahead of this storm is still favorable for it to be able to continue to stay strong and potentially stay on the ground. Now, we've got multiple tornado warnings in Alabama right now and multiple observed tornadoes that go along with them. So we want to take you to the next one. And this one is in Jefferson County. So Cardiff, as well as Robbins Crossroads. This is an observed tornado with a warning on it until 3:15 Central Time. This is to the south and east of Robbins Crossroads. Here's Interstate 65. It will be crossing 65 and then heading towards Kimberly. Kimberly, that should be arriving at 3:08, working towards Trafford at 3:18, and then Kiowa at 3:23 local time. So that storm, observed tornado, we're seeing that confirmed on Doppler radar. This is just to the north and west of Birmingham. Birmingham, by the way, too, you're under a flash flood warning right now. So these storms are producing very heavy rain in addition to a tornado threat, and water may be rising in many areas. So this is not a good time to travel at all. Storms are lining up back behind each other and may be moving over the same areas. We'll take you now towards Talladega, where we've got a tornado warning in effect here in Alabama, heading towards Chamber Springs till 3:16, Chandler Springs then at 3:22, and then heading towards Claremont Springs at 3:28. So that rotation pulling out of the county, but likely to see an extension with that strong signature of rotation along that as well. So this is going to be a long afternoon. We have a watch in effect across this region, meaning conditions are favorable. A warning means take cover right now. There's a live look again from Moundville, Alabama, where we have had a confirmed tornado.
I want to show you some new video. This of the tornado that was near Demopolis, Alabama, a little less than an hour ago. And this was kind of the beginning of a cluster of storms that have now pulled their way north up towards Moundville. And the one that's impacting us immediate urgency near Tuscaloosa. But look at the nature of these. Wedge-like tornadoes. That seems to be the theme we've seen. We haven't seen these skinny little twisters. These have been large, destructive wedge tornadoes that have really lasted quite some time on their path. So from there, I wonder if that's wind that we're hearing too. It sounds eerie, or maybe it's one of the city sirens that's alerting folks of the incoming warning. So that was a little over an hour ago. I want to take you live right now to Duncanville, Alabama. This is just south of Tuscaloosa. You're looking at our storm tracker, Charles Peak. And he is looking at the storm. I want to say he's heading north, trying to get back into it. He's in a safe location because the storm's pulling away from him, and he's just kind of following it from behind. But it shows you the seriousness of what we're seeing here. Immediate PDS. This is a life-threatening situation kind of unfolding on the southeast side of Tuscaloosa. This is not the exact same track we had back in 2011, but this is a very concerning situation, and everyone is kind of having flashbacks. Was that a power flash? I want to say that kind of was something flash. Oh, there we go, right there. Power line. I wonder what did that, if that was like something that fell, or maybe it was just the winds that we're starting to see. It doesn't look super windy, at least from this vantage point. Looks like Charles just pulled off to the side to kind of investigate a little bit further as to why that may be sparking. He's zooming in a bit. We can kind of see power lines starting to flash. That means people probably losing out. Jackie, what do you think, Jackie, you may have caused it? You think a branch kind of struck it? It doesn't look super windy, at least right there at the moment.
It could have been, or it could have been an earlier gust, that caused the lines to kind of arc, and then the lines sort of hitting each other and causing that type of reaction. But wow, just incredible to watch that unfold right before our eyes. We're a distance a bit from where the tornado is, so I don't think that was necessarily, oh yeah, see, look at that. There we go again. Ooh, shows you just how dangerous power lines can be.
Yeah.
You can see that green glow. Oh, and it just exploded.
Yeah, and it's pretty close there. It looks like there's a power substation just to the right if he were to pan over. I don't think he is, but it's close to some sort of power substation that could have a lot of people impacted here without power. So make sure you have a separate way to get those warnings if you're using your electricity. Maybe your phone's running out. Please, if you live ahead of these storms, make sure you have these items charged because they are going to be your best friend and perhaps save your life as we go through. Remember, this is still only the beginning of this multi-day threat that will extend all the way through tomorrow afternoon into the Carolinas. And we're only in the first quarter, really, of this serious, dangerous day. I want to show you the radar because, of course, we're monitoring that life-threatening, particularly dangerous tornado-warned storm pushing towards the southeast side of Tuscaloosa, about to cross I-20. But look at all the tornado warnings in Alabama. Alabama is really under the threat zone right now and is getting beaten. We've just had a couple of tornado warnings pop back now with our second line that we're going to be monitoring here in the coming hours. But let's start in the southwest side of the state. This one now is for Marengo County. You've been under a tornado warning, it seems like, for the better half of nearly 2 hours. This includes you in Dayton, Sweetwater, and Thomaston for an observed tornado that's moving in that general vicinity. So here's Highway 43 south of Linden, okay? East of there is where we have a little bit of a rotation, it looks like. Now, there are a lot of tornado warnings. There's another rotation there pushing towards Uniontown. So there are numerous tornado warned storms, and some of you have been under tornado warnings back to back to back. That's the nature of the setup we have in the atmosphere right now. So timing this out, this area, concerning storm, observed tornado. Notice there was what appeared to be a twister kind of roll through, some sort of rotation. And then look at that. If we continue, keep going, there we go, a second one kind of riding up behind the heels. It looks like that first one kind of spun out, and that's continuing that tornado warning. However, it looks like maybe another little bit of a spin trying to form. Nothing clear cut there, but again, so it looks like the circulation was warned on before, and it may be trying to spin back up there on the back side. So we're going to continue to watch that. We go just to the northeast of there, and you go to Uniontown, and now we've got some sort of a little bit of velocity there. This one may apparently be rain wrapped, so that's the other situation. Not only is it hard to even see on the horizon just because there's so many trees, and the topography is very hilly, very dense and wooden, and some of these trees are starting to leaf out. So your visibility is really impaired. On top of that, you've got heavy rainfall. That's likely means the tornadoes are going to be rain wrapped, and you're not even going to get an advance warning. So this area too, under a flash flood warning and an ongoing tornado warning. So let's jump back in here towards Tuscaloosa. Downtown Tuscaloosa and the University of Alabama, we are spared. So I want to give you at least a heads up. I know there are a lot of students taking shelter right now at the University of Alabama. All shelters are open. You're still under that warning, but it looks like the worst of the storm is about 5 or so miles off to your southeast. Let's zoom in a little bit more hyper local to kind of show you what we've got going on. There's the University of Alabama. Here's the east side of Tuscaloosa. So this rotation, this was the confirmed tornado that has produced, unfortunately, injuries and damage. That's all we know right now, but it looks to be right over the interstate. And I'm looking at the traffic, and I've noticed red popping up. So that means there is pretty much parked traffic here, either trying to avoid getting in the path of that tornado or as this approaches, and that is a very dangerous spot to be in. So tracking that, and that is a very dangerous spot to be in. So tracking that is going to continue to push off towards the northeast from there. Now we go over towards the eastern side of the state, and we're still that prompted that warning earlier in Selma. We had confirmed and then also crossed over I-65. So that is a long track tornado and may continue to spin up more. However, at the moment, the circulation looks to be broadening out a little bit. So maybe we don't have an actual tornado on the ground, at least right now. Still treat that Flash flood warning, ponding water and standing water on numerous streets and roads being reported. And here in north of town, crossing I-65, we've got a brand new tornado warning. This is for parts of Blount and Jefferson counties. Now, the northern half of Jefferson County. So Birmingham, you're not included, but north of you, you are. And there was a confirmed tornado earlier. Looking at is the radar saying, okay, there's some sort of spin here. Doesn't necessarily mean there's a tornado on the ground. Surprise me if there were, especially given on a day like today, where all of these tend to go tornado warned rather than severe thunderstorm warned. So even if it's not, it could rapidly turn into a very dangerous situation. This is likely going to cross Interstate 65 north of Birmingham within the next 10 to 20 minutes. All right, let's jump over a little bit and cover these brand new tornado warnings now near the Arkansas-Louisiana state lines. I want to show you what we're looking at for Louisiana. Lincoln Parish, as well as Washita Parish and Union Parish. You are under this tornado warning. This includes Downsville and Sterlington. Look at this mean supercell that has kind of popped up here south of Farmerville. This is moving off towards the northeast. These ones are a little bit more slowly. However, this is going to be a developing line that then tracks east from here, and all of the locations that are currently have been seeing the tornado warnings will be back in the threat zone as this continues to work east. This is kind of the beginning of this whole fire up of storms. We can track the velocities. There's two areas and there's two warnings here, two separate warnings. This one near Downsville, some sort of rotation, not super clear cut, but if there is a tornado, it's likely going to be east of Downsville now, pushing towards Louisiana Highway 143. If we time this out, moving towards the community of Point by 3:16 local time, and then getting towards Loch Lomond and Mercarso by about 3:30 local time. So that's in the next 20 minutes or so. So please take shelter immediately. We jump north just a little bit, and you see Marion, Louisiana, now under that tornado warning. This is the Arkansas-Louisiana state line. So we're right at the state line, about to cross into southern Arkansas. So that's for Union County and then Union Parish in the state of Louisiana, kind of right on the border. It's for that part of the cell right there, not far from the state line, moving towards the northeast. So likely impacting Marion as well as Huttig and areas south of Lapeal and Crosset. So that tornado warning until 3:15 local time, and we'll continue to monitor the situation. So the broader view, remember all of these areas are still under tornado watch until 9 p.m. local time. Some of these are particularly dangerous situations, meaning like we're seeing in Tuscaloosa, at least on the southeast side right now, those types of tornadoes will continue to be evident and will likely continue to form. They'll be long lasting, likely going to be on the higher end of the EF scale, so devastating perhaps, dangerous, long-tracked tornadoes as we go through the rest of this afternoon, Jackie, and then heading into tonight where we continue to watch these watches and warnings push farther east.
Yeah, and Thursday as well, tomorrow. We're
and we can't forget about that.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the bigger picture in just a second. First, we want to show you some video out of Clanton, Alabama, though, just into the Weather Channel with a tornado on the ground. There you can see the funnel in the middle of your screen, and that looks like a pretty good-sized, wider wedge tornado that's enveloping a pretty large area. So that was earlier this afternoon in Clanton, Alabama. One of the tornadoes that tracked on the ground for a while that we had the warning on. Now, we want to take you to Mobile, Alabama as well. Mobile, 79 degrees. The atmosphere is ripe here. We've got a threat of tornadoes this afternoon as well as into the evening hours as well. We'll see individual spotty thunderstorms out ahead of the main line, which will ultimately move through most likely into the overnight hours. So let's take a look here at the bigger picture, and then we'll break a little bit more down for you because I don't want you to lose sense of the overall idea of what's happening here today. So as we take a look at our future radar about an hour from now, it's doing a good job picking out all these individual supercells which have been developing into Mississippi and Alabama. Those are the ones that are individual storms that can stay on the ground and last for a long period of time. But look what's also happening back here. That's where our cold front is, and that will be sort of the last hurrah as the storms move through. So this is going to be happening in multiple rounds. If you're in the risks area and you haven't had storms yet today, It's still coming. It's still coming. So keep that in mind. Atlanta, for example, we're wedged in. And once those winds change from the east to the south, watch out. Things are going to be developing pretty rapidly. This will continue through the afternoon hours. We've got a lot of instability. There you can see it really increasing. Mobile over towards Pensacola. 8 o'clock tonight, still seeing supercells across parts of Alabama and trying to work their way across the state line into Georgia. Here's a look at 10 o'clock tonight. Here's that main line. You're looking better by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in a place like New Orleans and Jackson. Birmingham, it's going to be after midnight before you're out of the woods. Montgomery, more likely 4 o'clock in the morning. And take a look at this. Atlanta, 6 a.m. may be some of the worst of the weather swinging through your area. I would right now just go ahead and plan on delaying my morning commute. Wait till the storms move out until you have to head back out. So here's a closer look at a place like Mobile over towards Biloxi, Gulfport, Pensacola. That's where we have torcons ranging from 3 to 5. Just to the north of that, that's where we're seeing our 7s in that purple area, Greenville, Citronelle, over towards the Wiggins area. The higher the number, the higher the risk. Keep in mind this goes all the way up to a scale of 10. So when we see a 9, that gives us the utmost of confidence that large and dangerous tornadoes are very likely, that watches and warnings both occur. Watches means conditions are favorable. Warnings mean take cover now. So that's a look across the Birmingham area. We have warnings in effect across the area right now, and we will see more storms track through this region through this evening, continuing into the overnight. And that main line that moves through overnight tonight could produce some really strong gusty winds, but Chris, also embedded tornadoes within that line. So we have what we call an all hazards kind of a day. Large tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds, and even flash flooding, which is ongoing across the region right now.
Yeah, Birmingham are already under that flash flood warning. You're looking live at Birmingham, Alabama, and we are kind of surrounded by tornado warnings on our north side, our southwest side, and even our southeast side. And there's a whole bunch more storms kind of firing up. Let's quickly show you the radar. Too many to count, really, and it can get confusing when you look at all of these little squiggles. On top of that, there's severe thunderstorm warnings and flash flood warnings. Let's dive in a little bit more closely to some of the more concerning tornado warnings. That's the one to the southwest of Birmingham near Tuscaloosa. It has just crossed over Interstate 20 and continuing to push further north and east from there. If we continue to track this, it may take it to the Birmingham metro area, or at least just to the north over the next hour or so. So our weather producer, awesome, Sarah Dillingham, is continuing to control this. On a day like this, you got to have multiple hands, and we do at the Weather Channel here, keeping you up to date with everything. Look at this, guys. This is a particularly dangerous situation, tagged warning with it. A life-threatening situation, especially if you are in the path of this. Downtown Tuscaloosa and University of Alabama, you have been cleared. This has thankfully stayed off to your south and east. However, people who live east of Tuscaloosa, I hope you are in your safe spot. Anybody traveling here east of Tuscaloosa on their way to Birmingham or vice versa, along I-20, I hope you have opportunity to get to somewhere safe. The next community in line is areas north of Coaling towards Brookwood, likely going to be in your general vicinity within the next 10 to 20 minutes. So please take shelter immediately. Injuries have been reported along with structural damage.
Thank you for